Carol and Cheryl, Cheryl and Carol, Carol and Cheryl.
Welcome back to Conversations with Carol and Cheryl. How are you, Carol?
I'm good. How you doing, Cheryl?
I'm doing good. I haven't gotten COVID, so I'm good.
Yeah, that's a good day. So I'd like to remind our listeners to like our Facebook, check out our website and our YouTube channel, and feel free to comment. On this episode, we will answer questions and reply to comments if you should have any. So today we're very excited. We have Elaine here, and she's going to talk to us about her
no-death experience, because there is no death and there is actually life is always existing. Yes, the body will recycle into the earth, and yes, the energy will into the atmosphere. Atoms and stuff, that's what they do. They don't die. They last for hundreds and thousands of years. So I don't ever consider it, even from when I passed, it was clear that there's no death.
Okay, so tell us what happened to you.
So I'm going to start a little bit into my childhood, because that is a little bit relevant. When I was 3 years old, when I recall having angels and angelic realm, and that's what they said they were. They were the angelic realm when I asked them, and the celestial beings, so angelic beings, celestial beings. And they had two different features. One looked quite a bit like Casper the Friendly Ghost, but skinny and colorful. And then the angelic realm was more human, but was transparent. So I could see through them. And when we communicated, we never spoke with our mouths. We just telepathically communicated with one another. They came to me. At that age, I had people ask me, well, what was your religion? I said at 3 years old, I didn't have a religion. And so, a lot of people use that to me to not have a belief. But it was my experience. And around the age of 6, from between 3 and 6 years old, I was just communicating with them. They were telling me that my journey here on this earth was going to be interesting, and that I would be helping others. They would help me to be strong in that process. And I felt very, very comfortable with them. They were just very loving and caring. And quite often I cried at night. My family was dysfunctional.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
They had habits that were not well. Anyways, when I was around the age of 6, my first really experience with the angels, with Archangel Raphael, was when I was in my backyard. 4 of my aunts were at the house, and we were all outside playing with the cousins. It was 12 of us. And we were outside playing, and Archangel Raphael came to me and said, you need to go to your aunt and tell her not to go with the man that's coming to pick her up. So I asked him, well, how come? He's not a nice man. He's not a kind person. I said, can you be more specific? And he said, well, he's a bad person. That's what he had to say to me for me to get myself to make it happen. What was really my first real true experience with having to do something. He said, there's a man coming. He's coming in a big car, and you'll notice him. And so I went over to the left side of my house and looked, and lo and behold, it was a pink and white Cadillac. He said he was an older man, and that he would get out of his vehicle and he would stand there, and I would know what to do, that he wanted me to tell my aunt not to go with him. So I went to the right side of the house and ran over there. And of course, I'm all by myself in this whole little process, not letting anybody know. And there he is. He gets out of his car. He stands there. He's an older fellow, probably 20, 25 years older than my aunt, at least. I could tell that he was not well. And so I ran up to my aunt right away and told her, you can't go with this man. The angels are telling me you can't go. Don't go. Don't go. And she said, she didn't listen to me. She said, oh, I called him and asked him to come with me. And I said, Auntie, you can't go. He's a bad man. He's a bad man. I said, I'm telling you, you're not supposed to go. And she said, no. You're just scared. And so I hung onto her legs and I held her as much as I could so that she wouldn't go. And she said, I'm leaving now. And she left. So I ran upstairs in my bedroom and started teary-eyed. And my aunt came up and said, what happened there? And I said, well, the angels, told me what to do. I said, but she didn't listen, and they'll never come and ask me to help them again. And my aunt just, held me and said, it's going to be okay. So that was my real first experience with trying to be of service, kind of like we were talking today about being rescuers. And it was my calling. I had many situations where I was called. I would be outside and I would be called to go down in the cellar. My father liked to drink the booze, and he would black out, and I would have to go and rescue a family member. And I did a lot of that. So I was very close with my Archangel Raphael. He was really the one. Archangel Michael was also with me a lot, but Archangel Raphael was the one that communicated with me.
Quick question. So did something bad happen to your aunt?
Yes. Not just to my aunt, to all of them. And Archangel Raphael did tell me that if she went, that it would be a rough life, that people would get hurt and harmed. And he, ran her life, and my cousins were very much abused in the situation physically.
So it wasn't just one thing that day. It was a lifetime of torture.
Yes.
You must have felt pretty helpless.
I realized through the angels, because they always confirmed to me that I did my best. And what they said to me is she chose not to listen. So on my license plate, I have listen.
So you delivered the message.
I delivered
She didn't
the message.
listen.
She didn't listen.
But
No.
that had to be very difficult for you to watch her suffer when you knew.
Yeah, it was more difficult because I was actually a part of the abuse. I used to go to my aunt's, and I saw what he had done to my cousins. It was more about my cousins because my aunt, she was an adult. Mm-hmm. And I knew, I said to her time and time again, Auntie, you know what you're doing. Why are you putting up with this? He was wealthy. He had money.
There's always a seduction somewhere in there.
Yeah, and my uncle, worked hard for his money, and so she turned to something else, which is another story. We turn outside rather than within to nurture. It's already here. It's just that we seek it outside.
Was that your first experience with the angels, like first major experience?
Yes. All my other ones when I was young were very much about just being playful because they wanted me to be comfortable with them and trust them. And then when I was 6 years old, most of them were 6, 7 years old. I can't say exactly, but I know it was within a year's time frame of it. I was outside playing, and my Archangel Raphael said, Elaine, I want you to lay down on the ground. I said, okay. So I lay down on the ground, and you have to look up in the air and don't stop looking, just look. So I said, okay. So I look up, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. All of a sudden, there was this, I couldn't actually see it, but it was kind of like the wind. I knew it was there, and it was coming together like this. And when it came together, as soon as it came together, this energy, it spun just like this. It spun, and then all of a sudden it kind of turned grayish blue, came into it like a tunnel, it was like tornado. And when it came out, it stopped, just everything just stopped, boom. And it went pulse 3 times, and then all of a sudden it split. And on the left side, it was black and then white. But it showed me so that I would know that this energy had been divided in some way due to the gravity of it, the push of it, and the pull of it. And the left side was black, the right side was white, came down, came in the middle, it's actually the infinity sign, came into the middle. And when it came through the middle, it had the same color. So it was no longer black or white. It was kind of a grayish blue to me. And then it came back out and opened back up and came back in together. And then it came back up and then back up. It went through and then back up. And then at that point, it started going like this, like the figure 8 just went. And then Archangel Raphael said to me, this is how you were made. And I said, oh, okay. I've had to really go deep to realize, what that really is. To know the truth of it. So the truth of it is it's infinite. So there's an infinite awareness and an infinite intelligence that is beyond all of this, that came together and created this this density, which is all of existence. So when we say within and without, that's what it means. It means that the one is outside, but also inside this beautiful, finite, energetic, miraculous, magnificent. It's just beautiful. And it's all that is. It created life. How? I don't know. So the one, I believe, created memory so it would remember itself. And in that process, all things are known by the one.
Okay. So when you had this experience, you're looking up. What was your reaction as a kid? Because it probably took you a lot of reflection and analysis to figure all that out.
Yeah, I was wowed. I was just totally wowed. It was just so awesome. I mean, it was beautiful.
Well,
so
it would have to be, because it's so powerful.
Yeah. And for me, it was showing me all these aspects of ourselves, because what I came to realize, it took me a little while, is that it was showing me how mighty and how magical and how mystical and how miraculous this all is. And at 6 years old, I'm like, is there any more? No, we just want you to watch it and see.
Okay, so you meet the angels.
Yep.
You figure out how you're created through this energy, this infinite, crazy eight shape, movement of energy. Okay, then what happened?
But I did a lot of rescuing. And in this rescuing time, I would always say to God, well, why me? I mean, I got 7 brothers and sisters. Why can't one of them go and rescue, my dad? It was mostly my dad. He, had a lot of issues, and his own childhood was very, very sad. It was very sad. He was as much abused as we, and he started drinking very heavy, 13, 14 years old. And so he didn't have anybody to tell to help him. That's what's happened. I mean, we are probably the first generation to truly come out and say that this is not okay. To be able to say, yes, I see this and it's not okay. We don't have to say no to it. We say, yes, I see this and know that it's not okay. Because if we say no to it, then we are denying what has been going on. But when we say yes to it, we see it and we can dissolve it. We can transform it right there and then in our body and in the other person's body.
I'm one of 5. Cheryl is one of 5.
Okay.
I'll speak for me. So my mother was an alcoholic. I was the oldest. I did a lot of rescuing, but I don't think it was a calling. It was survival. And in my family, my mother drank because of her childhood. And her mother died a wet brain, which meant she drank so much alcohol, it ate her brain. I understand the memory, and I understand that disease going through generations. And you can stop it in a nanosecond. And I understand, like I was just reflecting on this actually this morning about growing up in an alcoholic home and just being afraid all the time. That was like my default setting, was afraid, because there was so much chaos. You just never knew what was going to happen next. True. That was actually normal. Yes. Chaos and anxiety, and my mom needed a lot of rescuing too. But I don't think that's healthy for children. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not healthy. So the thing is that we weren't taught this. Right from the beginning, whatever you want to call the beginning, when the source created existence, it created pureness, innocence. Okay, that was the essence in the fragrance. Fragrance was love, happiness, peace, joy. If I'm going to create something, I'm certainly not going to create it anything other than in the pureness of, we can't get any clearer. We have a most beautiful earth. We have a sun and a moon.
It's perfect.
Everything is in perfect divine order.
It is.
Okay? It's not well for our children. So what we have to do today is to stop it. It's that simple. That's the only way that history is not going to repeat itself. we have to say, I'm not going to drink anymore. If I'm going to have children, I'm going to be clean, I'm going to be clear. And yes, there still will be remnants, because I didn't drink or drug before I had my children. But one of my boys was a heavy drinker for a while. My other son used drugs. I was able to tell them, I can tell you from experience and from history and from my cells are in your cells. And, we didn't have that. And we also didn't have the power to speak up. We were not given that.
No, we were told to be seen and not heard.
Exactly. And now this is the first generation ever. And that's why right now, this evolution here has to go like, whoa. We have to be able to do this for the children right now. If we choose not to do this, we're being irresponsible, because we have the gifts, we have the tools, we have the knowing. And it's not even it's a knowing. We all know, even in the beginning, we know what was well and what was not well. We knew what was healthy and not unhealthy. The being created itself as a place of wellness. And when it wasn't well, and it knew it wasn't well, the energy, it condensed so that we could know that this is not well. Once we say, oh yeah, I see this, and we expand back out. We have to pay attention to all of the being. That means be here, be aware here, just a little bit outside of yourself. Don't go too far right now. If you go out too far, then what happens is we end up in a state of chaos, because we have other people's thoughts. We don't really need those right now.
All right, because we have enough of our own.
Yeah.
And
the majority of them are not ours either. They're from history. They're from our parents, from our grandparents, great-grandparents. And so we have to come to that realization, what is mine and what is not mine.
So I want to ask you a question here. When I'm in a struggle, I reach out to those ancestors, those women in my past that have struggled. And I feel like they're with me. They're actually there to help me.
Yes, because they're at a higher vibration. So their awareness is no longer in the physical awareness. Their awareness is beyond this density. When our energetic self comes out, okay, it can either stay like this, or it can go like this, or it can go very, very fast, kind of like a pencil. So it's the energy of the being. Yeah. But the awareness, okay, when you get into that state, the awareness, okay, becomes pure. Everybody looks like lights when you're outside and you're seeing from when your energetic self is no longer in the body, it can go and travel, but the awareness is now in a totally different state. It sees the energetic being and can choose to allow the energetic being to go wherever it wants to go, or it can direct it, redirect it.
So when I'm doing this, I don't see a being or anything. It's more of a feeling.
Yeah, it's energy.
When I reach out to my ancestors, I feel like they're rooting for me.
Of course they're rooting for
me. They
you,
did not have the opportunities that I have. They didn't have their voice. Yes. They didn't get educated.
Exactly.
They didn't have the medical treatment that I have available. And I feel like they're backing me. I'm on a team. I don't know why it's just the women. I feel really connected to the women. But I'm sure the men are there too. I just don't feel that connection.
Right. Well, it's their upbringing. So what goes with us is our tendencies. Our tendencies go with us. Control, power, greed, all those tendencies that we have. If we don't leave them here when we pass, they're going to go with us. Okay, part of them, not all of them, because a lot of them will stay in the body. And that's why, like Native Americans, they put a body and they let it stay for 10, 12 days and they pray on it. So what they're doing is they're asking that all of these energies be dissolved and transformed in the pure.
Interesting.
As the pure self.
Okay.
The pure self is right here. Oh, yes, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to say that. But it's the truth. This is the evidence that the one exists.
Right, because it created us. Okay, so you trust the angels. You trust yourself. You've had some really negative experiences early in life.
Yeah, I don't call them negative.
Less than joyful.
Yeah.
What do you call them?
Well, I call them taking my power and using it well. And I didn't do that. See, we have to use our power.
Yes.
The angels told me, Elaine, like when my mom and dad had a situation and I wouldn't go into the bedroom because the bedroom door was closed. It was a rule, you don't go in. And Archangel Raphael told me, if you don't go in, your mom's going to die. And, I opened the door and there they are. And I got my father's attention like I always do. He chased me down the stairs and, Archangel Raphael told me to run down, go and get to my brother. I never made it to my brother. My father grabbed me by my neck and turned me right around in my pajamas and said, you know where you need to go right now. So, of course, I head back upstairs, and my mom is coming out of the room, and my dad had tried to strangle her, and actually, he did pretty bad, and she was coming out, and she told me to go in my room, and I said, no. See, this is where the angels, like Archangel Michael is behind me, Archangel Raphael's in front of me. And they say, no, you need to do this. Do what you think is going to be the best. We're here for you. We support you. Like they wanted me to do it. They wanted me to know the power that I have within myself because probably, from history, we did not have that. We knew this, and I knew this. I knew it. I took all my strength and all my power, and I took my father, and I just laced him on the floor, and I told my mom to go out, and I got up and pushed him and went out with my mom. And when I came back home, he was sitting on the table smoking a cigarette and having his little beer drink. And I walked by him. I didn't want to walk this way because I know he can't get me as good on going this way. But my father never hurt me ever once. He might have spanked me a couple times when I was younger because we all got spanked at the same time.
We all got spanked.
But he never touched me when I stopped him from causing
really
harm. And
so you did. You were able to stand in your power, have your voice.
Stood in my power, took care of that, and then...
so then what happened?
So I worked for a motorcycle shop and took a ride on my motorcycle, and it was going around a corner. It was on a dirt road. There was a manhole cover about 6-8 inches high. So I knew that when I always went on this road, so I was coming inside of it like I'm supposed to, and the young man that was supposed to go on the outside ended up coming inside. When he came inside, he hit my front tire. And so I was fully at that exposed. I was totally exposed. Somehow I ended up underneath his motorcycle. And the shift lever went through my breast and the foot peg got stuck under my arm. So I'm under the motorcycle. He looks back because he thinks I make it because my motorcycle, went kind of towards the woods because he had already gone around the corner and didn't realize. And the front tire is now grinding my whole face. I'm trying to get his attention that I'm here. He had no idea. He looked back.
So he kept going, and you're kind of attached to the bike.
I'm under the bike.
Yeah.
Look, totally. When I was looking up at him, I'm thinking, he doesn't know I'm here. And then I started yelling. First one I called is Archangel Raphael, Mother Mary, Jesus. I called them all.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I knew I was going to die if it was in there because I was choking from my helmet being pulled down. My strap was choking me. And all of a sudden, my helmet split. I could hear it. And he went to shift because when he went around the corner, he had a motorcycle that could go quite a ways before he had to shift. So he's taken off, and then he goes to shift. Well, he can't shift. He's like, why? I can see him go, what? He looks down, and there I am. I'm under his motorcycle. So he stops his bike. He pulls it back, takes it so the shift lever come out of me. And I had collapsed lungs, 7 broken ribs, 100 stitches in my lips, broken teeth, 1/4 to 1/2 inch scabs on my whole face. It was just, you couldn't even see me. This whole area, pelvic and everything was all just broken. He just looked at me and he was just so scared. And we went to school together. It was the day before we graduated our freshman year, actually, and we were very close friends. He knew that I had collapsed my lung and he saw the blood. So from here all the way was gone. And so he knew that I had collapsed my lung.
So you're pointing to your armpit.
Yeah, my whole
under
arm.
your armpit.
Yeah, from here was gone.
Yeah,
they were
empty.
Yeah, they were gonna take my arm off, but I went down to Boston and they said, no, she's gonna be okay. We're not taking nothing off until she gets older and we see in the situation, then we'll take care of it.
Okay, so you're laying there. He's looking at you.
Yeah, he rolls.
What are you thinking? What are you feeling at that moment?
I was in shock, and when I saw his face, I knew I was gonna die. I could just see he was sick. He rolled me on his side because we had the health class. I didn't talk to him for 40 years about the accident.
No way.
He couldn't talk to me, and I didn't bring it up to him. While I was in the hospital, 6 days later, he hit a truck because he was going too fast. He told me, he said, I was going like a bat out of hell. And then 6 days later, he got in an accident and broke his leg, and part of his hip area got bad, but he was going too fast. Had he slowed down, well, I was in the hospital. Yeah. So he didn't learn from that, from that one. No. He told me he never stopped. He always went 100 miles an hour on the road all the time, almost every day. I said, well, and then he passed shortly after that.
Did you ever talk to him about it?
I told him, I said, I said, I forgave you. I said, it was an accident. I said, yes, you were going too fast, but it was still an accident. I said, but and he goes, I know. And I said, but I forgave you. I said, I did. I forgave you, Ray.
He must have been so relieved to hear those words.
He just hugged me and held me and cried and teary-eyed, and I was teary-eyed. And so anyways, he put me on my side because the health class said if you have a collapsed lung or you're bleeding, to do this. So he put me on my side, kind of over this way, and then he told me that he was going to go get help. And so he had to run. His bike would not go, so he had to run, and it was about a 15-minute to get help. And he went up to this big place where all these women were, and families, but they were older people. It was an older, 5 and older. And he knocked on doors, and he did get help. But in the meantime, I was on the ground, and I fell back on my back, and Archangel Raphael appeared right in front of me. If you don't do what I tell you to do, I'll give you these instructions, and you need to follow them very clearly. So I had to put my left hand on my breast, put my right hand under my breast on the other hole. I was choking in my blood. So he said, if you do this, you'll make it. So I started pumping, and I was pumping way too fast. He told me to slow down because I could see, when I got to the hospital, I had less than a pint in me. He kept me going the whole time. No pain, no suffering, no nothing. It was pure. I was like I was in heaven. I mean, I was in heaven on earth. I could feel the ground. I could feel everything. It was so beautiful. There was no pain, none. Not even, and no fear, zero fear. 45 minutes, I guess, it took them to get down to come, and they came down, and they were 2 nurses. Wow. And when they saw me, they would not touch me. They had called the ambulance, but the ambulance went to River Street, 9 miles the other way, in Springvale. I was on the River Road, which is adjacent to the Malsum River. So they were in Springvale, couldn't find an accident, and these ladies are waiting for them to come. Ray said, I'll drive, because they wouldn't drive. And they go, just help me pick her up and put her in the vehicle. And they, no, we can't touch her. If we touch her, we don't want to make it any worse. And me, I'm laughing at Archangel Raphael. I'm going, it can't get any worse than this, can it? Right. Oh, yes. He said, yes, Elaine. He said, yes. If you do not get up, and you need to get up right now. If you do not get up, I cannot help you any further. If you don't get up right now, you are going to die. And these women will not pick you up unless you get up. Because I said, all right, I can't get up. He goes, well, of course you can. He says, Elaine, you get up and you start walking the opposite way. Now, he was like adamant because I was going to die. There was nothing left. So I got up, turned around, started walking the other way. And finally, the 2 ladies, they helped me. I kind of walked myself, and they brought me to the car and put me in. And I kept asking Ray if I was going to die. I only remember asking him once, but he did tell me that I asked many times if I was going to die. And he kept saying, no, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. When I got to the hospital, they put me on the gurney. And even Ray said if he hadn't seen me, he would have never known at all who I was. So they brought me in. And they tried to start repairing me, and they realized, I was dying. My heart stopped beating and put IV in me, blood. And it was one nurse kept saying, we're losing her. And then
Could you hear that?
Oh, yeah. And he said, we lost her. And I'm like, I'm going, no, I'm here. I'm not dead. Couldn't believe that they thought I was dead. So this happened 3 times. So the 3rd time I said, okay, they're not getting this. They're not hearing me. And I said, how come Archangel Raphael can hear me, but they can't hear me? I didn't understand it. I knew I couldn't talk. I closed my eyes because I couldn't handle watching them anymore. I said, all right, I'm out of here. Literally, figuratively. Out come the imprint of my physical being. See, this is what happens. The one imprints itself onto all, that has an imprint of all with its energy. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be a piece of sand. It could be a piece of grass. It's all the same beautiful energy. It's the same energy.
Okay, so you felt the energy leaving your body, your physical being.
Yes.
And you were...
I didn't feel it. I saw it.
Okay, and then you're like hovering on the top of your body.
Yeah, no, so I get down by my feet. I decide I'm going to go by my feet. I don't know if I decide or the source decides that's where you're going to go.
Okay.
Right, because I was just aware of it.
Okay.
At this point, I became aware of it. Everything was guided at this point. I was aware of it. That's all.
So you weren't actually doing it. You're like watching yourself. Okay. You're
Yeah.
watching it happen.
I'm watching it happen, yes. Mm-hmm.
But you're not directing it.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So you're at your feet.
Yeah, I'm at my feet.
Can
I'm
you-
above my feet, actually. I'm above. I'm hovered above my feet.
Okay.
And I'm watching them all go at it. Now, I'm no longer here aware. I'm aware, like, way out here, okay? We call it a distance because it seems like
Yeah.
it's, yes.
But you're there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So from here, I'm watching, and I watch, and I go, okay, wow. I'm not in any pain or anything, and I'm not having any feelings around it, but I'm saying, man, look at me. Is that really me? I question. I go, I know it's me, but is it really me? Okay. I'm looking, and I hear one of the nurses say that we've lost her. So all of a sudden, to my right, is that beautiful tunnel that I spoke about earlier. So here's this tunnel. It's expanded, but it's going this way.
Like up.
So I'm going, okay, all of a sudden I look up and I see this and I'm like, wow. I'm just being guided. So all of a sudden it says, come this way. So I go into the tunnel and all of a sudden I see the tunnel is kind of like a bluish gray color. More gray. It had more gray. But so I come up through, and as I'm coming through, I see my grandparents. I saw my dog. I saw my lab that we had, and then all of a sudden I see these other ancestors that I know them, but I don't, like they're not familiar, recent.
Yeah.
And they're all saying, "Hey, honey. Hi, Elaine. Everything's good. You're gonna be okay." They're just
Were they actual like beings, or
Yes.
was it a feeling or energy?
No, they're beings.
So
Yeah.
they're what you remember them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but they're transparent. I can see them, but they're transparent as well. They're not like this physical.
So
They
your
were-
family, your ancestors came to greet you in the tunnel.
Yeah. Before I go to the tunnel, I can see the light. It comes up, and I see the light. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going. Because it was denser here. It wasn't as bright, but it was bright here where I was looking from.
So you were attracted to the light.
So yeah, I wanted to go, but I was also told to go. Come. That's what he kept saying, come.
Okay.
So I go up, I feel like the weight of an eagle.
Yeah.
So I get up to the end of the tunnel, and as I'm getting up through the tunnel, I feel lighter and lighter and lighter. And when I get out, it's like I'm a hummingbird or butterfly. I'm like, ooh.
So free.
Yeah, and my beingness, I knew it was still the energy, but it didn't have the qualities anymore. It didn't have the density anymore. It was very transparent. Very, very transparent as I get into the light. And we can have that right here. This is the thing, is that we have to be able to know that this light is right here. So I go into the light. So I'm here watching. I'm going home. That's where I want to go. Well, all of a sudden, my mom, my dad, my 7 brothers and sisters, who are all still alive, were at that point. And I was getting right to that point. And my mom says, honey. I go, what? She goes, you can't go. I go, what? I go, what do you mean I can't go? She goes, no, you can't go. And I'm like, Mom. So all my brothers and sisters are waving, and we had a portrait done when I was 12, and I was 15 when I got in the accident. And what I saw, I was missing out of the portrait when we had it done when I was 12. But my sister looked like she was 16. My brother, they had all grown up. But I was missing out of it. And so my mother kept saying to my brothers and sisters, you keep waving, you just keep waving, and tell her she has to go back. I'm going to have a conversation with her. I can hear them, but I'm talking to my mom. My mom's talking to me. She said, you have too much to do. I said, Mom, I'm not going back in that body. Look at my body. I could see it there. It was still there. No, I said, I'm good. She goes, oh, no, 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 no. You're going to be fine. In 10 days, you're going to be out of the hospital. You'll be fine in 10 days. I promise you. I go, oh, no, you're just telling me that so I won't go.
Right.
She goes, no, no, no. You have to trust me. Please trust me. Have faith. Trust me. And she told me, you have a choice. Because I said to her, I said, Mom, I've had enough. I've had enough experience here that I don't need to go back there. I've done my time, you know? Like I told her, I said, I've done what I need to do. She goes, no, 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 you haven't. She, you know, having a conversation. My father, nobody else spoke, just my mom. Interesting, because my mom and I did not talk much. Usually she talked to me and I listened. So it was beautiful because she needed to be doing that at that time, which any other time I'd get mad about it. And my father was always the one that kind of, you know, well, I worked a lot, and my mom didn't want me to work and didn't want me to do things. She didn't want me to be away from home so much. And my father said, let her work, let her do her thing. You know, when I was a kid, when I worked in the motorcycle shop. And so I did that kind of stuff, and I was not home much. And my mom didn't want that, so she would be upset, and, you know, she needs to be home. And my mom had to be the one that had the conversation with me. So right at the point, so I'm like, no, Mom, I don't want to go. She goes, no, you do. I want you to know you do have a choice. And I'm like, oh. I'm like thinking I do. She goes, yes, you have a choice.
So she
goes,
gave you your power, which is so interesting.
Yes. She goes, you have a choice, but I want you to know that if you go past this point, you cannot come back. You cannot come back in your body. It will not sustain it. I promise you, though, in 10 days, you're going to be out of the hospital. All right, Mom. I'm going to go back, Mom. And absolutely, my awareness went. And there I was aware again.
So you were like back in your body.
Totally.
It was more mental.
No, it was pure awareness.
Yeah.
Only
In your head,
awareness is not mental. People have to understand this. Awareness is not mental. It has nothing to do with mental. Awareness comes first, intelligence comes, it's simultaneous. But awareness is always there before it because we can see it. We can see our thoughts. We can see everything. That was the lesson.
Yeah.
We are the observer.
Yes.
And we do have choices, and we can make choices. So, yes, so I came right back in, and I was like, oh, damn. I said, I'm back. I did. I went, damn, I'm back.
So what was happening around you at that point?
Everybody was going crazy. They had to send me to Maine Medical because they could do nothing else for me. I was gone, and they got me so I stayed alive. They put the blood in me, and then they put drugs in me. But, you know, they use that for an excuse why I had this out-of-body experience. That was why I had it. And I said, no, all you did was put blood in me. I saw you. I watched you. I said, you didn't stick no needles in me. There was no morphine and drugs in me. I wasn't in pain. I didn't even act like I was in pain. I told him, I said,
up and walked.
Yeah. When I was on the gurney, okay, I was here. There's no pain when we come here. We have to understand that we can also keep ourselves from having pain in our body by expanding our awareness, by expanding our energetic self. So when that expands, it loosens everything. Yeah, so when I came back, I was in intensive care for 4 days. They wouldn't let me look in the mirror. I waited 6 days to look in the mirror because I had such bad scabs on my face. And they were on my bed, and I was like, what? You know, like, I mean, at that time I was on morphine. I'm going, what the heck? And people would come in crying. And I go, what's going on? What's your problem? What's going on here, everybody? I didn't know it. And then when I went into the bathroom, I mean, I knew something wasn't right because I had, like I said, I had 100 stitches. They had to cut, these teeth were taken out and put fresh ones in, and 7 broken ribs, collapsed lung, hole here. My arm I couldn't even use it. And so after I got out of intensive care, I said, you know, I'm going to use the bathroom. I want you to wait another day. And I realized it was because of what I looked like. Yeah. What I did was I went and snuck into the physical therapy room once a day, twice a day, 3 times. All the time I would sneak in there and try to, you know, like do whatever I could. And day 10, out.
Were you?
Day 10.
I was going to ask you, were you out in 10 days?
10 days.
Oh my God.
I said to my mama, I go, Mama, thank you. She's like, thank you. I go, yeah, you told me. She goes, what? I go, yeah, you were at the lake. What? No way. I go, no, Mom. I'm telling you, you were at the lake. I shared the story. They're like, they believed me, but they were afraid. I know they believed me.
So what was your takeaway from all this? Like, what is your lesson? Like, what is your message for our listeners?
There's so much, because what it showed me is that everything is awareness. Like, everything is aware. Even the blade of grass, we don't understand. Awareness exists in all that is, so we can't be anything other than that. And the one gave us this awareness as well. They give us these beautiful abilities and gifts. So choice, free choice, not free will. Free will only comes from the one. Sorry to say, okay? When it's had enough, it is going to do something like Atlantis, and like, is going to do like what's going on here. Say, listen, guys, you need to wake up. I want you to wake up. Wake up to what? Wake up that we are, okay? The beautiful being is trying to live us. We're trying to use our mind and our body to live us. The one does not live from the mind. It does not live from our thoughts. It lives from its own thoughts and only sees, this is the other thing, the most beautiful part of it, is that it's the one only sees pureness. It doesn't see you and me like this. It only sees us as light. It does not feel like we feel. It does not hurt like we hurt. So the only way that it can experience itself is how? I asked the question.
I would say through love or light.
Through what? Experience, right?
Yeah.
Expression from experience. And it loves to experience. But it only wants to experience with love. And this was created to enjoy it, not destroy it. That means all things. Yes, food is here. Yes, that's okay. I mean, we have to eat. The Creator created that for us to do. But to destroy one another, to harm one another, nothing to do with eternal one, has nothing to do with the essence of the one. The one is pure. So karma is not really karma. So it's a word that we use. So choices that we make, okay? When we go through this tunnel, we see not just that, we know what we did on earth. So even when I went through the light, now it's more beautiful. I can see it as pure love, what I had done when I was up to the age of 15. If you're 60 or 70 and your life has been kind of like not well, and you've done things that you know are not well and very destructive, you are going to see it. You're going to see it with love, but this part sees it in a denser form. So this holds the tendencies. Awareness has no holds. It only sees. It doesn't hold anything. It just sees. This has the tendencies. This has the memory. There's no memory here. Awareness just is aware.
Okay, so when the memory is getting to the tunnel and you're seeing your own destruction, is that on purpose?
Yes, it's on purpose. It's on purpose because, okay, the one, it was never intended that way. Personally, I mean, I can only go from my experience that the one, when it created itself into this form, my granddaughter had the answer. She said, maybe, she was 4 at the time, she goes, maybe the creator created a creator. It didn't know it created Dee Dee. And I looked at her and I said, oh my gosh. So the creator created an image in itself, gave itself free will, gave itself free choice, and made all that it is. And in that image, also gave that freedom. So power, authority, other people, when beings came to the earth millions of years ago, cavemen were here millions of years ago, who knows how long. The earth, they say, has been billions. Source doesn't see it in that way. And so what happens is when this occurred, we were told the opposite. And we trusted that. Like authority said, hey, if you do this, I'll give you this. Or if you do that, I'll do this. And so we stopped allowing the source to move us.
So it's kind of like your aunt. She was attracted to the money.
She was attracted to a new way of feeling good about herself.
Which was outside of her.
Exactly.
And you're saying that when we come in, we have everything we need within us.
Yes.
We don't need to seek things outside of us.
Right. We've done it for so long, and we've allowed beings to run our life and to make choices for us. It's going to take a village to make that change for all of us.
So it seems like we have to start with ourselves and take our own power back and have our voice and say what's okay and what's not okay, right?
Yes.
And stick up for ourselves,
Yes.
which is very hard to do.
No, we just think it is because it was how we were taught. So we have to get rid of that thought. Just know. We already know it. We already know it. This is the thing is we already know it. We knew it when we were born, but we weren't allowed it. I mean, we don't want to look at how beautiful and how synchronistic and how harmonious and how in order our planets.
Our planet is perfect.
Not just our planet, the whole cosmos.
Whole system, right.
Without this gravitational pull, push, pull, the moon is there for the center, the sun. It's a gravitational pull which keeps us here. What did that? I mean, not my mind, okay?
So let me ask you this. Since you've had this experience and you told me in a prior conversation you're a hospice volunteer.
Yes.
And you're a mom. And you were talking about your son and his addiction. I have a son in addiction. And for the moms that have lost their kids, let's say, is there a message you have for them? The remaining person here is experiencing the loss. But you're saying that person is going on.
Yeah, that person is watching.
So they're there.
They watch us. This is the thing, is that we're always alive. Awareness will not ever, ever, ever unexist. And when it does, I can promise you, none of us will know. Because we rest. I'm writing a book called Rest But Never Die. Okay, so we rest in the awareness here. When we pass over, we rest in an awareness that's in a pure state. And so in that pure state, in that pure awareness, so if I had gone into the light, because I was shown, my awareness now goes into this pure awareness and everything is seen. So it's just like lights, of rays of light. So they're like little candles everywhere. Cheryl she will have a light. You know, we have to see this here. If we want to believe, trust, know that heaven is on earth, and it is, because the Creator created it. Hello? We have to come to this realization. Everybody thinks that they're the Creator. That's what got us in trouble. We have three choices. I have a lot of things in threes. 1, we accept it and stay in it fully and completely. 2, we change it. 3, we leave it. Remove ourselves from it. It means that we do not have to participate in that.
So let's talk about heaven on earth. So we've all lost people we love.
Yes.
They've moved on to another form. What message do you have for me? Like, I just lost my dad.
So your dad, I would share that we all live. There is absolutely no death. That yes, we see the physical body, but our astral self, our etheric self, our soul can go wherever it wants. That's why we have choice. Say I couldn't have gone back in my body. It died. Now I go through the tunnel and I can decide at that point whether I want to go into the pure light or if I want to go to another dimension where I usually am. I usually go to Orion. That would be my home base if I choose to go, and then I would go home. But I can go there and then go home because I'm in a different dimension. I'm in a different frequency. My energetic self is in a different frequency, and my awareness is always there. It's always pure. It never moves. It's untouched, unscathed. Our perception is not, but our awareness is, because it's the one. The one is pure. So it's unscathed. It's boundless, it's timeless, it's formless. And so the one, your dad, is going to go into that place. And if your dad has beautiful beliefs and believes in the source and believes in God, whatever we want to call it, there's 1,000 names for the one. So I try to keep it into a minimal, a source, creator, and the one. Because a lot of people don't like God right now. You know, they're mad at God. Okay, and it's okay.
Everyone has their own kind of belief.
Right, right. But it's okay. You know, a lot of people are mad at the source thinking that, you know, why is this all happening? But, you know, if we think about this, it gives us time to just be quiet and let this energy, it's a fire. I can promise you, anybody that decides they want to do it, it's a fire. It burns because it's been so contracted. This beautiful energy that is ours has been so distorted and so manipulated and so conditioned that when it finally does happen, you're going to be on fire. And your dad is now watching over you. Your dad is with you. He's aware now. So, but his awareness now, he doesn't see us in this way. He doesn't, even our conversation, okay? Sometimes you have to talk slower. If we talk slower, they can understand it a little bit better. Now, if I talk to like a very high frequency, ooh, sometimes if I have to, if I'm working with somebody, I have to give a ooh rather than ooh. Go with that. That raises their frequency. So we can help others. People don't think that we can help others, but we can by, if you can see their alignment, such as Cheryl. See, it's free, it's beautiful, it's light, it's loving, it's
Have you ever
caring.
been called light before?
No, but that's good to know.
Yes, yes, yes. And so when we see that in every being, rather than seeing their identity, their faults, have all these little things about them that you want to talk about. No, shut up. Because now you're talking about God. You're talking against your own beautiful self. We are talking against ourself. We are talking against the one that created all this. That anybody that has passed over, I lost my nephew. He took his own life. He knew he had Asperger's and they didn't give him his freedom. And he had asked only for 3 hours of freedom. And if he got good grades and if he had done well and he played football and he got awesome grades and he did great. And then the people told him, no, we're going to wait another year. And he was going to turn 17. And he said, I'm not waiting another year. And that night he took his life. But he knew where he was going. So I saw him a few days later. He came to me and all green and beautiful. He said, I'm good. And he had his glasses on. He said, I'm really good. Because everybody was worried about him. And then a short time later, he gave my brother and I a message. We were sitting at a pizza place and my brother wasn't doing well. And he said, tell Dad, which he didn't call him Dad because there was a lot that had gone on. But he said, tell Dad to get rid of the luggage. Get rid of the baggage. Don't let it stay with you. Get rid of it. And my nephew used to save luggage bags, suitcases. Because he was in a foster home, so kids would come and go, and he had been there for a few years. So he would save suitcases for them, for people to, when they left and came, he would give them a suitcase to put their stuff in. Wow. And he said to my brother and I, he said, you have to put the luggage down. Get rid of the past. Yeah. It is what's keeping history alive. Yeah. Stop bringing it up. If we keep bringing up our past, our lives, we perpetuate more. We just bring it back in the forefront because whatever comes in front, behind comes back in front. That's the thing. So whatever I'm thinking, it's going to go up, come down. Now where I'm at from when I had my near-death experience, life experience, it comes in now. Now before it used to come from here because it was so heavy. I lived in this. So when it expanded, that changed.
So how can we expand ourselves?
Go within, sit quietly, and just say, I am love. I am pure. I am innocent. But we have to know this. You cannot, there's a saying that people say about, like, you don't really mean it.
You have to believe it, like.
Yeah, you
to feel it in your bones.
You have to say, I know how beautiful I am. I know this. Look in the mirror in the morning and say, I am a beautiful being of light. And the Creator created this. If we can't do this for ourselves, we say, look what the Creator created. Wake up in the morning and say, oh, thank you, I'm breathing. The sun, the moon, and the earth. I'm still on the ground. Wow.
I think it's easier to see it in other people. Like our kids. Yeah. We look at them as just big buckets of love when we're not pissed off at them. They're not asking us for money or something like that. But I think it's harder to feel it yourself.
Yes, and that's why I say go into nature. When we believe and know without a doubt, I can promise you when you go, you're not going to see a thing. You're going to see pureness. It's beyond light.
So we can access that.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
We just have to get still.
Yes.
Go within ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Say, thank you. I'm ready to know the nature of myself. And please, if you choose this path, please know there is going to be some fire. What happens is that we see our lives. So if somebody had 8, 10, 12, sometimes it takes a person 100 times to come back and realize this is the thing, is to forgive and to let go here. We don't have to come back. We only come back because we think we got to fix something. We got to make it right because we screwed up. Dang, I screwed up. No. Say, it's okay. I messed up. Say it here. Be done with it. Stop talking about it. And when that energy goes, when that oogie stuff goes,
then you're free.
Yes, you're pure.
So the angels, are they still with you?
You mean angels are always with us all?
I mean,
Yes.
Raphael.
Yes.
He's still talking to you, guiding you.
Yes, but not as much because he wants me to have my own power. Always, forever, eternity. You can intervene at any time. Your dad is always here. You would just have to be quiet enough. You just have to be able to sit. Just know. And even if you're not quiet, I mean, if you're doing something, you're going, like with me, when I had my situations, they were always with me.
Yeah.
So you know that they're with you. Just trust in that.
That's really powerful.
We're never alone.
So Cheryl, do you have any questions?
It's funny because when you say that we're never alone and that they never really truly pass, when my dad passed, I had a very strong, comforting feeling that he's with me. And one reason is because I'm like, he has to be. I'm part of him. He's part of me. I'm literally biologically part of him. He's with me. Some of the stuff he said made me feel like that was reinforced.
So anyway, well, I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story. It's fascinating.
I'm so excited.
Very interesting, very enlightening.
Have we been your license plate for listeners?
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No, I loved your message. Yeah. You had a lot of really good insight.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. It was beautiful.
Right, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Carol and Cheryl, thank
See
you.
you, Carol.
Carol and Cheryl, thank you.